Hey everybody, Dr. Joey Kramer, Hope Upper Cervical Spine Center, and welcome to another great episode of the Spinal Corner. Hey, today I want to talk with you about a thread that seems to be common, really in my experience inside of my office for the last, I would tell you 8 years. We could probably even say it's probably the last 125 years, really the existence of the division of Western medicine from the chiropractic field, right? This huge thing of the Palmers versus the Rockefellers, right? Like that's really where we're going to be going with this. But today I want to come to you from a patient-doctor experience, from the numerous conversations I have had with patients inside of my office. And we have really created this idea of the top 5 failures of Western medicine when it comes to issues related from your neck to your head, right? And so in this, what I want to do is I want to really help you really be empowered in understanding what you're up against when you choose to go to your primary care and say, hey, I got a crick in my neck, I got some burning pain into my shoulder, maybe it comes up around the top of the head, maybe it's in my TMJ, maybe it's some pressure behind the eyes, maybe it's some teeth issues, maybe I got some stuffed eustachian tubes, some tinnitus in the ear, maybe I'm getting some facial paralysis, some Bell's palsies, maybe I'm having XYZ going on, right? And so what typically happens, and this is really the most common route, is the primary care physician will maybe take an x-ray, they may send it out, but more likely than not, they are going to refer you to somebody who is a head and neck specialist. That is going to be a neurologist, or it will be an orthopedic doctor. And we are incredibly comfortable with this process. Hey, Jan, it's really nice to see you today. You know, I really think you need to go see Spine Team. They're going to be the people who take care of you. Or I need to go see, Neuro Club, whatever XYZ it is, right? And then they just send you along your way, and then the Spine Team will do their thing, or the neurologist will do their thing, and you'll be really taken care of. It's a great experience for you. And you having to be vulnerable at your most, state of suffering that you are in, think no problem with this. It's actually normal because everybody does it, right? And so what ends up happening is you go to the orthopedic, right? Or you go to the neurologist, and they'll come in, they'll do some testing, right? They'll test your arms, they might press your head a little bit, right? They might do some little eye reflexes, some smells, right? Get you to do some H in space, try to follow some eye tracking, right? And then they'll go, hey, I really want to rule some things out, so let's do some images. And most of the time, they will take an MRI or a CT. Really, the MRI is more of your gold standard. If you're in the orthopedic realm, neurologist will probably take an MRI. They might go CT. CT is just super invasive with radiation and, really not good for what they're looking for. But they don't, they're not afraid to use them. So anyways, the non-radiation method of MRI will be done, and then you'll come back for your discussion. Right? So that's obvious. This is really how this works in any medicine, because you have to have a report that has to be done regarding what your presentation is. And clinically, what I have seen is that they use an MRI as a tactile tool to scare the living hell out of you. Oh my God, Mrs. Jones, I'm so sorry. When we look at this x-ray or this MRI right here, you have a herniated disc, you got spinal stenosis, you have degenerative arthritis, you have spondylolisthesis, you have spondylopathy, you have spondylolisthesis. There's all these things that are going on, and this is not really good for you. And the reason that you're having this problem is because there's this irritation at the facet, and you got this encroachment upon the neural foramen, and this is just problematic. And so my solution for you is going to be a steroid injection, and then we're going to do some PT. And like most people in the world, you're probably going to say, hey, doc, I really don't want to do that injection, unless you're really, really hurting, right? And then you'll probably get the injection. Or you'll say, doc, is there an alternative we can do? And he goes, yeah. We can just do some oral steroids because we're going to calm the inflammation down, right? And you're going to do a 6-week stint of PT, right? So for most of you, this is totally normal. You're cool, right? You go to PT. PT is going to make you do some shoulder exercises, right? They're going to make you do some neck exercises, right? They're going to have you get in there and stretch it out a little bit, do some chin tucks. They're going to maybe put that iron neck around your head and make you, do some exercises. And 6 weeks later, you're going to come back and they're going to either have one of two things happen. Part number 3 is going to be that nothing worked. Hey, doc, that steroid shot lasted about 2 days. And then the pain all came back. I started PT, and I feel a little bit stronger, feel a little more secure, right? But nothing's really getting better. So then the docs say, man, that we did the oral surgery or the oral steroid, so I think we need to do an injection this time. And then if the injection doesn't work, we may need to talk about possible surgical options, minimally invasive, right? They're not going to be really bad for you, but maybe we look at doing a discectomy or a laminectomy, or maybe we come in there and maybe we need a little cage, right? Fix that instability for you, right? And get you taken care of. And this is all just down your path, right? By this point, you're probably about 3 months into the process. The original complaint still has not been addressed, and you're like, damn, what do I do, right? Or they solve the problem, right? Symptoms are gone. PT exercises, man, that shoulder really helped the neck get better. And now all of a sudden I'm feeling great, and my symptoms are all gone. So hallelujah, God bless the Western medicine doctor. They solved my problem. It's over. But I have to rewind here a little bit, because we did some images at the beginning, right? We showed you how terrible your underlying structure was. We said, man, look at this stuff that is happening on this report that is written by this really smart guy that said this is happening to you, and we need to correlate this clinically. However, once you are quote unquote healed, there is no follow-up imaging. There is no follow-up MRI. There is no follow-up X-ray. There is no follow-up, hey, what constitutes a correction of what the true underlying problem is? And this is where we get into the nitty gritty of my big problem that I have with Western medicine, is that when most of you show up and get an image, we don't need you to be an expert in it, right? While we may be the expert in all these big foreign Latin terms and what they mean and how it relates, we do know that most of you can understand the basic of what is normal and what is abnormal. And too often what ends up happening is you get this wonky MRI, your neck is all jacked up, and then, the surgeon or the orthopedic is like, yeah, we can't really do anything to fix you. This is what you're going to have to live with. And, we're just have to do rounds of oral steroids and inflammatory shots, and we'll just see what happens until we, need surgery. And then inevitably we'll do the surgery, and then, we'll see what happens down the road. And unfortunately for you, you're a victim, because they never gave you what is normal. They never showed you how to reconstitute normal. They never took you down a path of what you can do to actually fix your underlying neurophysiological structure, that is your cervical spine, to ensure that you have prolonged health and longevity throughout your life. And this is where I get into the weeds in it, because in the upper cervical office, we are demonized, right? This is where it comes in, because number one, they do imaging and then they scare the hell out of it with you. Number two, if you don't really want the injection, they just send you to PT. Number three, they don't do image updates on you. Number four, if they solve the symptom, they are the God and they're the idol and they are great doctors, because my patient is no longer symptomatic, 0 out of 10 on the Oswestry scale, their pain's gone. However, they never did a single thing to address the underlying compromised structure. It is nothing more than a Band-Aid that has been slapped on an area that over time will gradually become worse. If you have a kyphotic cervical curve, if you have these herniations that are happening at C4, C5, C6, C7, you are going to be a product later on down the road of arthritis, of degenerative arthritis, of joint degeneration, of cervical fusion, of problematic ranges of motion, of all these people who come in their late 70s in my office and are like, Doc, why is my neck so messed up? And I'm like, because in your 30s, you listened to the orthopedic, and in your 60s, you're now having to come in and talk to me, where it's going to take twice as long to heal the problem. It's not going to actually get the results that you desire, because your underlying structure is so compromised and your age is now fighting against you. And I forgot point number 5. If you go to an orthopedic, God forbid you bring up a chiropractor, because they are the demon and they kill you. This is utterly ridiculous. So these are the top 5 common mistakes that happen with the orthopedic world when they talk about the neck up evaluation. I want to provide you the alternative side. You see, in the upper cervical world, we are on the hook to prove to you that we can constantly do what you have asked us to do. It is our job from day one to show you what is normal, what is abnormal. And from the normal and the abnormal, we have to take you from a place of abnormality and over time reconstitute and recreate normal. And then once we create normal, it's how do we sustain normal? Very rarely is it a symptomatic conversation because symptoms are weak. Symptoms are what you can take care of with a bottle of tequila. You can go in and pop Tylenol and solve that problem, but heaven forbid, we don't want to take Tylenol because it's going to hurt our liver. But man, we'll go in and get a cervical injection of a steroid that just compromises the actual substance of the joint capsule, but that's not neither here nor there. So what I would challenge you to look at when you actually choose to engage in someone who can actually solve a problem related to your head and your neck is number one, if you take images, you're owed update images. Number two, the person is on the hook to actually show you what is normal, what is abnormal. And number three, if they don't reconstitute normal, they have not done their job. That is super, super important. Sure, we can talk about how great we feel, how our symptoms are gone, how we, are cheering on these physical therapists. And don't get me wrong, I love PTs. They do an amazing job. They can actually help significantly with people who are going into surgery, who are coming out of surgery, who are working to navigate issues like pelvic floor therapy, who are trying to go through these challenges that they're facing. However, when it comes down to dealing with the cervical spine, there is nobody better qualified than an upper cervical doctor, because it is our job to address the root cause, to restore normalcy to the neurophysiological connection by providing the right adjustment at the right time, at the right place. And if you never get that done, your structure will never be reconstituted to normal, and it's only a ticking time bomb before that thing goes off, and you find yourself in a storm of terrible health, wondering why you never got better in the first place. The PCP had his warm blanket around you and walked you to the ortho, and the ortho walked you to the PT, and the PT walked you back to the ortho, and the ortho did the surgery, and the surgery went back to the PT, and the PT went back to the ortho, and the ortho said the surgery didn't work, so we're going to have to do more PT. Maybe we have to do another surgery, or maybe we missed the right segment, right? This is where we get into the wicked storm of the Western medicine paradigm. Chiropractic belongs in the conversation. Upper cervical doctors are incredible at what they do, and we are excellent masters of the neck, especially where your head and your spine meet, the single most important piece of your body. Because if that is out of alignment, the rest of your system will go kaput. I hope you enjoyed this today, and I hope you maybe gained some wisdom and some empowerment and understanding what kind of questions you can actually ask the doctor when you go into a specialist that is a spine team doctor, right? Someone that, I don't use spine team because that's just a general name of the idea of like someone who is an orthopod, right? Make sure that if you are going in for spinal issues, that you are given at bare minimum what is normal, what is abnormal, and that you are given follow-up imaging to show you the difference between the two. Because let's be honest, if they don't change that, they just slapped another Band-Aid on you. A little more invasive this time. So, y'all have a great day. I'll be back next time with another great episode of the Upper Cervical Corner.